A while back, I set off with the goal to play and talk about the Dragon Ball games and stories I've missed over the last few years. I started by fully taking on Kakarot, now I've made my way through the stories of Xenoverse 1 and 2 just so I could finally experience and explain the story and the plethora of DLC that has been released for this game. Today, I'm finally diving into the first set of story content for Xenoverse 2. Released back in 2017, these initial packs cover the Universe 6 and Goku Black arcs of Dragon Ball Super. What started as a simple set of add-ons has since turned into a massive and honestly very impressive and expensive array of content that furthers the story even more. It starts with the warrior being called to the Time Nest along with Ace and Trunks. There's a strange interference with the timeline once again. Goku hasn't shown up to the Universe 7 rendezvous spot to head off to the tournament against Universe 6. The crew knows something's up, but Whis isn't about to let the group sit around and wait. Ace is sent off to track down Goku while we peek in on a nameless planet, where the match is just about to begin. Now because of Goku's absence, Piccolo is set to face Butamo in the first round, just as the patroller arrives on the scene. Beerus immediately starts yelling at the patroller for interfering, but Cronoa steps in to explain that she selected them to join Team Universe 7, since they were technically 2 fighters down. Champa is naturally furious at this last minute addition, but Beerus shuts him down by reminding him of how unfair the advantages already are. Despite the patroller's acceptance, Vados points out the patroller still has to pass the written exam first. While Piccolo handles Botamo off screen, I might add, the warrior sits for the exam under Vados' watchful eye. Back at the Time Nest, the old Kai apologizes for forgetting the exam was even a thing, leading to a hilarious back and forth where Cronoa reminds him how he witnessed this firsthand. This actually piques my curiosity. What age did this old Kai come from? Piccolo defeats Botamo just as the patroller passes the exam, officially joining the roster. Right on cue, Ace arrives with Goku. Turns out Goku had the dates mixed up and was busy training on King Kai's planet. Champa blows a fuse again at another fighter showing up, leading to more back and forth between the two. I'm glad Champa was given a model unlike some of the Universe 6 cast. He's my favorite god of destruction, so seeing him is always a treat. Goku also needs to take the exam, leaving the fighting to the patroller and the rest of the team for now. To spice things up, Champa turns the next rounds into tag team bouts, pairing Cabba with Frost. This leads the patroller and Piccolo confronting the duo. Old Kai tells us that Frost shouldn't even be in his final form yet, signaling that more shifts are coming. It's become apparent by this point that the AI is feeling pretty dated. For the majority of these battles, it feels like I'm the only one doing all the heavy lifting while my teammate is just flying in circles somewhere. However, just as the patroller starts to gain the upper hand, Frost reveals his true colors. Jocko, having spotted the poison needle, informs the referees that Frost is cheating with the concealed weapon. The ref calls it and Frost is disqualified. Cabba's absolutely stunned that someone he looked up to would resort to this, demanding an explanation. Vados finally drops the act form, revealing Frost's true nature as a secret leader of a space pirate syndicate. Frost just laughs it off, admitting he's been starting wars across Universe 6 only to end them publicly and profit from the rebuilding efforts. He's unapologetically proud of the scheme, and at the end of the day, he really isn't any different from Frieza after all. Vegeta, disgusted by the cowardice, tells the patroller not to let Frost off with a simple disqualification. People like him need to be ground into the dirt. The patroller continues the fight regardless of the ruling. Frost even tries to taunt them, asking if they're sure they want to catch more of his poison. Since Cabba was fighting fair, he's exempt from the DQ and continues his unresolved match with Piccolo, a match I'd actually like to see more of one day. Both warriors are pretty formidable and have some interesting techniques. Meanwhile, Goku finally manages to pass his test. He's itching to jump in, but Beerus tells him to sit back and wait for his turn. Despite Frost's defeat and disqualification, Champa remains unimpressed by the patroller's strength and sends Hit into the ring to team up with Cabba. Before the match can even start, Vegeta asks Piccolo to tag out so he can deal with Cabba personally. It's never explicitly stated that this counts as a disqualification for Piccolo in the game's logic, but if we're going off the anime, it's safe to assume he's effectively out. As a result, the third round shifts into a high-stakes tag match, Vegeta and the patroller versus Cabba and Hit. Goku's visibly vibrating with excitement to see what Hit is capable of, especially once Whis explains that he's the deadliest assassin in Universe 6. While the patroller holds the line against Hit, Vegeta turns his attention to the young Saiyan. He demands Cabba transform, but Cabba admits he doesn't know how and asks for a lesson, citing he needs to protect his family on planet Sadala. Just like in the anime, Vegeta's response here is absolutely brutal. He transforms into a Super Saiyan and berates Cabba for the weakness of asking for an opponent for help in the middle of a fight. He begins a relentless assault that even takes Xeno Trunks back. Beerus is left hoping Vegeta doesn't catch a DQ for murder, especially when Vegeta threatens to personally destroy planet Sadala and slaughter everyone. Now between this DLC and the base game, the dev team really upped their game with these cutscenes. Each one is a perfect homage to the anime, and they push those high quality CGI cinematics to the absolute limit here.
My home planet. Out of this. Won't let you hurt Sadala. You will not hurt my family!
Of course, the mask eventually slips and Vegeta reveals he was simply pushing Cabba to find the spark of anger needed to break his limits. He tells Cabba to test that newfound power against the Patroller while he shifts his focus to Hit, tapping into Super Saiyan Blue to even the odd out. The young Saiyan is in complete awe of the power that Vegeta has, and with a newfound respect for him, he promises to remember the lesson and fight with everything he's got. Trunks is also genuinely impressed by Cabba's growth, noting that for a fledgling Super Saiyan, the kid is an absolute wellspring of Artellings. He even warns the Patroller that they'll need to keep a close eye on him, as there's no telling how high Cabba's ceiling actually is. As the fight between the Patroller and Cabba heats up, Beerus suddenly remembers there's one more fighter on the opposing roster. Whis reveals that Vegeta actually withdrew from the tournament, much to Beerus' shock. Apparently, Champa called him a rust bucket, which completely crushed Vegeta's will to fight. Hopefully, we'll eventually see a game that officially includes both Putamo and Vegeta on the roster. While the Patroller manages to secure a win against Cabba, Vegeta isn't so lucky. Hit absolutely destroys Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, and to make matters worse, the assassin falls under the influence of a dark magic, triggering his villainous mode. Goku is floored that anyone could even be strong enough to beat Vegeta so easily. With the Prince and Cabba both out, the referee calls for Monaka to step up. This sends Beerus into a panic, but Whis quickly points out that Monaka has fainted from the excitement. As Goku prepares to step in, now Vegeta and Piccolo notices Hit's power level is spiking even further, and then suddenly the ring descends into total chaos as a possessed Frost and Cabba leap back into the stage, both surging with villainous energy, and despite Beerus trying to shut it down, the melee only gets Goku more fired up. He even tries to recruit Monaka for a 3-on-3 brawl, but Beerus quickly withdraws Monaka, claiming that in a battle royale Monaka would accidentally kill everyone present. Patroller's new goal is set. The timeline can reset to the one-on-one between Goku and Hit as intended. Hit is visibly surprised when Goku begins to bypass his time skip, but he simply vows to improve further. Goku reveals he was saving a specific technique for a rematch with Beerus, and then he triggers it, Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken. Eventually, the Patroller manages to deal enough damage to Frost, Cabba, and Hit to break the dark magic and restore them to normal. This is a fight that turned out to be significantly more difficult than I originally anticipated, mainly due to Goku's AI spinning around in the corner. With history finally back on track, the Patroller leaps out of the ring, which immediately triggers Beerus. He starts shouting, asking if they're literally begging to be destroyed, but Cronoa steps in to settle him down. She explains that we are here on official Time Patrol business, and now that the anomaly is cleared, the rest of the tournament is in the hands of Team Universe 7. Beerus actually cools off pretty quickly, even offering a rare bit of praise. He thanks the Patroller for the help, admitting it was some terrific fighting. It's a great moment that shows the genuine respect Beerus has developed for the Time Patrol. And before heading back to the Time Nest, the warrior shares one last nod with Goku, a silent acknowledgement of the bond they built across these different timelines.
Well then, that's a nuisance.
You should watch what you say, because that nuisance is a friend of mine, and you're not being very nice.
Oh, you two seem pretty tight.
Yes, we are.
The way the dialogue is written here strongly implies that this is the same Goku who helped us take down Mirror at the end of the base game. The warrior is greeted back at the Time Nest by Cronoa, Elder Kai, Toki Toki, Trunks, and Ace. Cronoa confirms that everything has returned to normal. After the Patroller left, Team Universe 7 managed to secure the victory. Cronoa suggests that a tournament like that sounds fun, even proposing the Time Patrol should hold one of their own to bring in fighters from across time. It's a concept that sounds quite similar to the Tournament of Time from Dragon Ball Legends. Afterwards, Trunks asks everyone at the mission felt stage. Goku went missing, and just as they fixed the timeline, he showed up and things spiraled into chaos. Feels like someone has planned for it to happen, though he hopes it's just his imagination. And although he is right, that information isn't given to us just yet. It's being saved for a future story, but I really wish they had lingered on it just a bit more here, as it's the only real question I had throughout both of these DLCs. This leads directly into the next story. In the Time Vault, Elder Kai asks where Trunks is, but Cronoa explains she sent him on a different assignment. She wants to avoid a repeat of the previous issues, especially since Elder Kai reveals this specific history change is deeply connected to Trunks himself. He explains that the future timeline has finally found peace after the threat of the androids was over, only to be hit by a new tragedy. Cronoa presents the scroll showing exactly what kind of distortion they are dealing with.
All right. What's going on? Move! It's the end for you, Trunks.
Although this specific version of the future has a connection to Trunks, we know Xeno Trunks doesn't share the same direct timeline as the one seen in Dragon Ball Super, and he has generally been fine dealing with stories that aren't his personal history, but Cronoa reveals a critical shift in the timeline here. In the original timeline, future Trunks should have used his time machine to get help from Goku and the others in the past. Elder Kai is visibly frustrated that they're dealing with time travel again. He doesn't approve of its use even when it's an established part of the timeline. Unlike the scrolls and technology used by the Time Patrol, future Trunks' machine actually creates entirely new timeline. However, Trunks' trip to the main timeline is a part of the correct history, so they have no choice but to protect it. Elder Kai gives us backstory on Goku Black and explains to us how dangerous Goku Black truly is. Cronoa tells everyone there's no need to panic because they won't be heading out alone. Ace walks in and she explains that since Trunks is away, Ace will be the partner for this mission. This is such a great start to this DLC. Teaming up with the previous patroller for a series of missions is exactly what I was hoping for. We saw in the base game that those two never really had the opportunity to work together, and if there was one thing I wanted more from the base game, it was definitely more Ace. Now both patrollers are ready to jump into the next mission as a team, and Cronoa sends Ace to age 796 to make sure future Trunks successfully flees in the time machine. Meanwhile, she sends the patroller to the main timeline's past, specifically the moment Trunks meets up with Goku. This is where Goku Black will be pulled by his time ring due to the distortion created by the time machine's travel. Elder Kai makes it clear that the mission is to stop Goku Black before he can alter history as he did in the distorted version of age 796. Ace manages to protect the time machine, allowing future Trunks to escape. Elder Kai points out that Black is wearing a time ring, meaning he could follow the Time Patrol anywhere if they aren't careful. The goal is to wear him down enough so he can't pursue them immediately, then retreat straight to the Time Nest.
Hold on. The distortion.
Goku notices the patroller and wonders if they arrived from the future with Trunks, though Trunks has no idea who this mysterious fighter is, confirming that we are dealing with a different timeline from the Goku who helped us in the final fight against Mira. After we're sent back to the Time Nest, Cronoa lets us know there's another change in history, right at the moment when Goku and Vegeta make their landing back at the future timeline. Much like the anime, the DLC features a lot of back and forth between the Time Nest and ongoing battles, which feels like a deliberate choice to mirror the structure of the series. We arrive to fight Goku Black, who's already boasting a massive power-up thanks to the influence of the dark energy. It isn't long after dealing enough damage that he finally unveils the new form. The Rosé transformation is here, and paired with the revamp mod, it looks absolutely gorgeous. It really brings up the question of how powerful the player character truly is at this point. Both heroes have no problem whatsoever evading Black when they need to leave the field, and they consistently keep up with his continuous boost in power. Eventually, Goku Black loses himself in both his newfound strength and the thrill of the fight due to the Saiyan cells, requiring Zamasu to step in and bring him back to reality. Black notices that the time ring is reacting to the patroller's presence again. He knew there was something familiar about them and calling it a stroke of wonderful fortune, but before he can elaborate, Vegeta interrupts and begins his usual superiority speed, but it doesn't last long as this powered up Black is able to defeat him with ease. Now that Vegeta is knocked out, Black prepares to take on the Time Patrollers, now fully engulfed in the battle. Cronoa and Elder Kai instruct the warriors to focus on Black while Goku and the others handle Zamasu. It's told to us that Future Mai rescued Vegeta while Goku and Trunks managed to escape Zamasu's reach. Cronoa tells the team to find an opening to retreat, but warns them both Zamasu and Black possess time rings.
They got away.
It doesn't matter. They'll be back, and when they do, we'll finish them off.
And what about our other problem?
That will require some patient thought. There's no sense in rushing when you're dealing with time travelers.
I suppose you're right.
If you haven't noticed, Goku Black sounds noticeably different in this early DLC. John Schimmel recorded these lines before the English dub of Dragon Ball Super had really established the character's tone, so he essentially had to guess this voice. The base form is more gravelly here, and the Rosé form is actually the first time fans got to hear the British-style Goku Black voice before it officially debuted in the anime's dub. Back at the Time Nest, Elder Kai welcomes the warriors back, relieved that they are safe. Krenoa praises their performance, but explains that this isn't the time for rest, as another change in history starts to occur, the moment Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks return back to the future timeline. The situation starts to become grim. In the proper timeline, the heroes survived and devised a plan to win, but Elder Kai warns that escaping this time will be much harder now that the villains are even more powerful, so the mission is to now keep them busy. Upon arrival, the patrollers find that Goku and Vegeta have already been defeated, leaving only future Trunks to stand against villainous Super Saiyan Rosé Goku Black in a future Zamasu. Krenoa tasks Ace to make sure that Goku and Vegeta survive, while the patroller works with Trunks to hold back Zamasu and Black. It's here where Zamasu and Black begin explaining their rationale behind the Project Zero Mortals plan, which Trunks dismisses as senseless slaughter. Black counters by stating that Trunks' sins are actually more severe. They point to his misuse of the time machine, with Black claiming that by saving Goku from the heart virus, Trunks inadvertently allowed Black to steal Goku's body in the unaltered main timeline. Current chaos is the direct result of human pride, specifically blaming future Trunks for creating that situation. Trunks tries his best to defend his actions. He only wanted to save everyone, but Zamasu counters that time is strictly for the realm of the gods. Only death awaits those who trespass there. Massive oversight on his part to ignore that Krenoa is the actual god who rules over time and space. I wouldn't be opposed to a side story one day where Zamasu tries to take over the Time Patrol. The two deities' constant belittling of Trunks is actually what sends him into the next form. One thing that still feels like a missed opportunity is the specific form Trunks uses here, Super Saiyan Rage. Despite the form being fully modeled for the story, the character, along with several others, isn't actually included as a playable option in the roster or DLC characters. If you're on PC, there are plenty of mods that bring this version of Trunks into the game, but console players have been waiting for years to actually get their hands on him. It's a bit frustrating to see such a pivotal transformation sitting right there in the cutscene and boss fights, yet remaining just out of reach for the players. Trunks thanks the patroller for the assistance, but insists that stopping Zamasu and Black is his responsibility. He tells the team to head back to his father's era to find a way to defeat them for good. However, Krenoa tells the patroller to hold on just a bit longer while Ace helps Goku and Vegeta get back to the time machine safely. Elder Kai orders the patrollers to hurry back to the Time Nest. He's absolutely furious that Zamasu would commit such evil acts, but he's cut off as yet another historical change begins to manifest. We are once again plunged back into the future timeline. Ace is dispatched to hunt down Zamasu while the patroller prepares to take on Goku Black. But as they arrive, a super villain version of Turles descends from the time-space rift Goku Black created. Vegeta has absolutely no idea who Turles is, but Goku recognizes him. Turles dashes directly at the Saiyan who defeated him so many years ago, single-minded in his quest for revenge against Goku. Given that this version of Turles is clearly aware that he died at Goku's hands, he must be a version of the character that Toa Mira plucked from the timeline before he even encountered the Time Patrol. It's also worth noting that Cabba and Goku Black mix during the chaos. He remarks on how there are a ton of people out there who look exactly like Goku. If he only knew. Midway through the fight, Goku accidentally drops the Xeno button on the battlefield, causing a total panic back at the Time Nest. While Turles struggles to do any real damage, he reveals that he isn't alone. Soon Cooler, Janemba, Lord Slug, and Broly all appear on the battlefield, eyes all locked on Goku. Normally I'd want the villains to acknowledge the Time Patrol, but in this case I'm glad that they don't. It would have felt weird for them to recognize the person who defeated them right before they died. Once the movie villains are finally knocked back into their proper places in the timeline, Goku Black and Zamasu realize they can't keep fighting a war of attrition. They decide to merge and fuse into a single unstoppable being. This match is put into two separate sections, one with Fuse Zamasu, and one that appears after the Goku side of Fuse Zamasu begins to collapse and mutate. The patrollers have to hold him off to buy time for Goku and Vegeta to use the Patara, and during that struggle, Zamasu actually acknowledges where the patrollers are coming from. He admits to overlooking the Supreme Kai of Time during his quest to eliminate the Kais, but he vows that once this fight is over, he'll take down the Time Nest himself. Cronoa sends Ace to recover the Xeno button while the patroller holds the fight against Zamasu until reinforcements arrive. Vegeta Blue enters the battlefield and together the team begin to back Zamasu into a corner.
Go to hell!
Be gone, humans! So, where will you go for aid now? The past? The future? Or to those who circumvent time?
I've fought to protect everyone. I've survived because they helped me. That's what we do. Help each other live. That's what it means to be human. This light is the energy of every living thing on the planet.
How unfortunate for you, Trump. Both you and that so-called Time Patroller are entirely powerless before divine justice!
Please, everyone, give me just a little more power.
You would scorn a god? You would subvert justice?
To hell with your justice. You don't deserve it.
Impossible! This can't be!
We help each other. How can I ever repay a debt like this?
Trunks defeating Zamasu with a Spirit Bomb infused sword is a moment that has sparked a lot of criticism within the fanbase, and that discourse continues even today. While the game doesn't necessarily take the ending in a completely different direction, it does add a unique detail. Trunks gains energy from the various timelines through the very rift in time that Goku Black created. It's a nice touch that adds a bit more context to where that power actually came from in this version of the story. Following that high quality cinematic, Ace returns that Xeno button to Goku and the patrollers head back to the Time Nest to report on the mission. But midway through the discussion, the Time Nest begins to shake as Zamazu's astral form manifests even there. However, despite his presence, his total erasure in the main timeline triggered by Goku using that button removes him from every timeline he managed to infiltrate. Xeno Trunks returns from his mission to the Time Nest, and Cronoa asks if he wants to return to his own timeline. Keeping him there forever due to history tampering might seem harsh, and he's already repaid his dues. Trunks decides that he doesn't want to leave. He's grown partial to this world. It's officially become his home. He's made friends here. So it seems that timeline where he went back to save Gohan was corrected in the end. It's also interesting that there was absolutely no follow-up to Toki Toki's new egg hatching or even the egg itself, since that was such a major plot point in the main game. I really expected it to surface in the DLC. The first grouping of story content was such a strong start. It's impressive how the developers eventually branched off and did their own thing in the later packs, but these specific stories are great renditions of the arcs they're adapting. Looking back, these released during the peak of Dragon Ball's renaissance in the 2010s, and there was a lot here that kept me hooked. The 2v2 swap during the tournament between universes was a highlight, and I'm a big fan of Zamasu actually sensing the Time Nest. The implications of the other Kais being aware of Cronoa's position adds a lot more to the lore. They also clearly invested heavily in those CGI cutscenes. If Xenoverse 3 is coming, then that specific art direction would be the perfect style for it. I still have a bunch of more content left to explore and experience, so if you enjoyed this one, make sure you stick around for the next part. Let me know how you guys felt about the DLCs in the comments below. Which of these two DLC arcs did you think handled the Time Patrol twist better? Universe 6 or the Future Trunks saga? Also, let's settle it, CGI cutscenes or the anime style for the next game? Let me know down below. I've been your local overanalyzer Artellings, and I hope you have yourself a damn good one.